Hello everyone, welcome to Hudson Valley Knits. This is episode 61. Today is Sunday, March 21st, the first day of spring. It was a bit cold considering the warm weather we've had the past few weeks. But welcome back. I am Amy, and I am Memers on Ravelry and Memers66 on Instagram and Twitter. You can find my Ravelry group, Hudson Valley Knits. Please join in. I have some great contests going on. And you can also find me on Instagram. I spend a lot of time there and post, well, actually, not so much lately. I haven't been doing a lot of anything lately except working. Really, it's been kind of crazy. It's been 3 weeks since I last podcast, and that was actually, I had every intention of podcasting last weekend, but I was upstate at my parents' house. It was my father's 80th birthday last weekend, and there was just so much going on around the house that I just never really got the opportunity to podcast as I had hoped. And part of the reason I'm in my room right now is that I left my tripod up at my parents' house. So I have run around outside because I really did want to podcast outside to try and find some way I could kind of like prop up my phone and, you know, do something outside, but it didn't work out. And I'm really, honestly, I'm quite exhausted today, and I just didn't feel like fiddling around with it. So here I am in my room at my desk, and I'm just going to podcast from here. So because I don't want to go a whole month without podcasting. I certainly can't wait until, I'm not going to see my parents again until the first weekend of April. So I think that's a couple of weeks, right? My mom's having another party for them in a couple of weeks that I have to go to. So, not a heck of a lot to talk about or show, but it's all whips and a little bit of spinning, so I'm going to get right to it. I'll show you what I've been working quite a bit on. Starting off with the Flight of Color shawl. Here it is. I did a lot while I was upstate on this, while I was upstate at my parents' house. So this is from, this is from the Knit Play Color book by Louise Zoss Bangham. And what it is you can see is there's this like main kind of shawl section. And then off of one of the edges you take off and you start doing thinner stripes. This is going to be probably a Christmas present for one of my sisters. It smells like lavender because I have some sachets in there. But this is a great pattern for getting rid of extra yarn. And honestly, it doesn't even have to be exactly the same weight yarn because it's striped. But what I'm using is, this is alpaca that I got at a local alpaca farm. It is flatland alpaca in a raspberry color. And it's about a DK or maybe a worsted weight. And then I'm also using some Yowza What a Skein by Miss Babs that I left over in the colorway Fairy Dust. It's like a bluish lavender. It's really beautiful. I got this at my first Stitches East that I ever went to, which was a long time ago. I don't even do Stitches East anymore, sadly. This is a worsted weight, but it's kind of, I would say, a light worsted weight. And then finally I'm using some Brigantia, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. This is in the colorway Cyclone, and this is a Spirit Trail Fiberworks yarn. It's really, really lovely. I love this. I love all her yarns. She really does use only the best fibers and yarns. So anyway, this is really, really coming out great. I love the colors. you're seeing a lot of in the screen. You're seeing an oversaturation of the blue, but the raspberry color is just such a beautiful pop. Anyway, I think one of my sisters will get this and love it for Christmas. But then there's a part of me that really wants to keep this. It's a nice potato chip knit. My husband and I recently went through all the Harry Potter movies, and I knit a lot also watching Harry Potter with my husband. I love the Harry Potter movies. I'm knitting this on size 4.5 millimeters, which is a size 7 on my signatures. I like signature needles. They're really good. I don't know if they're necessarily worth the price. And also, you know, they have the screw-in tips, which I think is probably because they have a lot of, maybe they were getting returns where the cord was coming out, and this way they they don't have to replace the whole needle, just the less expensive part, which is actually very, very good thinking. But I know some people have mentioned the join being not as smooth. I think the joins are great, and I have had no unscrewing while knitting, so I'd say the signatures are fine. But I think highs are just as good. I like the cords on the signatures too. To me, they're the right amount of flexible. They're not like completely loosey-goosey, and they have a little bit of shape to them, form to them, but they're loose enough that they don't, in my opinion, get in the way. So that's one project that I have actually spent quite a bit of time on. What next? The Dancette hat. So I just kind of, I think 2 or 3 days ago, I'm sorry, I have a bad cough. Maybe a week ago, no, it's when I got home. I don't know, a few days ago. I have this skein of yarn from On the Round. She's like a local indie dyer, if you haven't heard from her, from Maine. And I bought from her, I buy a lot of her poonies, but I bought from her a skein of her sock yarn. It is called Signature Sock Yarn, and the colorway is County Fair. And I just, I think she posted it, I saw it on Facebook. And she was asking people, what should I call this color? And I'm like, I don't care, call it Amy's, because I'm buying it. And I love the colors and the tone of them. And I caked it up, and I was swatching just to see what kind of gauge I'd get with it and whatnot. And it's been sitting on my desk in my little yarn bowl over there for months. And I keep looking at it, and oh, it's so beautiful. I can't wait to knit something with it. So, despite having quite a few projects on the needles, I decided, you know what, to heck with it. I'm going to make a hat with this. I didn't want to make socks with it. I just didn't want it on my feet. Plus, I think it's 100% merino. If I'm not mistaken, I don't have the I don't know what I did with the label, but I'm looking to see if it's over there. But I didn't want to make it something I'd wear on my foot. I wanted it to be something more visible because I really love the colors that much. So I chose to knit up one of my favorite hat designers, Woolly Wormhead. Has a Paint a Woolly Topper book with patterns designed specifically for these types of variegated yarns. And this one is called Dancette, and that's what I'm going to make with this skein of yarn. It is knit flat, and then it's grafted together. And I just think I'm really going to love it. So that's something I've just started on the needles. And so basically here's what I have so far. This is on, did I write down 2.75 millimeter needles, which is a US 2. And these are that's one of my stitch markers from Knit Circus. Came with one of the club shipments. I think this is going to look so beautiful. So I think how it goes is it's going to be like this. And this will be knit around and then grafted, like I said, grafted together. So that's another one. Actually, let me put it in the needle holder I have. Where did I put it? Where did I put it? Oh. I do not know. I just had it on the desk, I thought, but I'll find it later. No big deal. All right. Let me get the socks I'm working on right now. I've been working on these a while. Here's this good old standby sock project bag from Jan Smiley. I always forget to mention the beautiful bags I'm using. After I show you the socks, I'll show you all the bags I'm using right now because I always forget that and it's important. I'm working on, and I've been working on for a while, the I call them the Fruju socks, and it's basically the pattern is Vestigo by Beta Jezek, who is Hedgehog Fiber designer, dyer, and designer. And I'm using the Sugar Maple Sock Yarn by Highland Handmaids in the Fruju colorway. I finished one sock, and you'll have to forgive me because I can't find my sock blockers, and it's probably in my incredibly messy, crowded closet buried somewhere. I did the Fish Lips Kiss Heel, and it's basically a very simple broken rib pattern. And I love the colors. They're looking very neon. They're not quite as bright as you're seeing. So here's one. I don't think I was quite done last time I podcasted. I wasn't quite done, but I finished this one up at my parents' house and cast on the second. So this is how far I am down the leg. Almost time for the Fish Lips Kiss Heel, but not quite. I'd say probably a good 10 more rounds before I have to start the heel. And that's my sock. I can't wait to, not that I don't like this pattern or the yarn for that matter, but I can't wait to cast on another pair of socks. I have so much beautiful sock yarn that I want to use. And I have so many fantastic sock patterns that I have yet to knit. A lot of times I end up with a regular vanilla pair on the needle or something very simple. But I think I'm going to go through some of my favorite sock designers, like maybe Hunter Hammerson. I like Cookie A, but she's not my favorite. She's kind of a little too out there for me. Alice Yu, who was Socktopus. I have her book and I love her sock patterns. I know I'm probably forgetting some, but I have so many, like I said, fantastic sock patterns. So I think what I'm going to knit next is something a little more fancy, which means, sorry for the cough. I'll probably use a excuse me, like a mono yarn, monocolored yarn, and not a variegated or something, so something tonal. And I'm looking forward to that. And I really haven't decided 100% which skein it's going to be. Every time I look in my cedar chest where I keep my sock yarn, and I have way too much sock yarn, by the way, I always no, it's going to be this one. Oh, no, it's going to be that one. And I have some opal, too, which I would knit vanilla, which I've been dying to use. So, just so much sock yarn, so little time. That is pretty much it for my whips. I do have another future whip in my projects on Ravelry. and I'm just, you'll see that if you look at my project page, you'll see like just the skeins, pictures of the skeins. It's basically, sorry, it's an art yarn knit-along that's supposed to start in April 10th. And it's a very beautiful but simple shawl that she's putting out there. And I just think with something like art yarn, which is going to be her Merino Cloud, which is like a very beautiful light fingering weight yarn she puts out. It's 100% merino, extra fine merino, I guess. And then a skein of her beaded silken sequins, which will be used as kind of like a border for a very basic shawl pattern. I think the simplicity just lets the beauty of the yarn shine, if you know what I mean. So I figured I had gotten a bunch of art yarns from my sister for Christmas, and this is one thing I'm going to knit up with it. The other, I have two other more skeins of the Merino Cloud that I got at Christmas, which I plan to use for an Elena Dacos shawl. The one that she did with the little skein in the big wool kit. It was the Secret Garden shawl. I don't know if that's the exact name, but that was the book that the kit was designed for. I'm going to use it for that. So, but I just got a little sidetracked. That is basically all my whips. I have no finished objects, although hopefully this sock will be done next time you see me. Hopefully in 2 weeks as well. But I do have a little stash enhancement. I got really lucky. One of my favorite dyers, I think it's safe to say she's my favorite. Excuse me. Spirit Trail Fiberworks. She not only has amazing colors, she uses very, very fine bases. And she started blogging again. Definitely check out Spirit Trail Fiberworks. I think it's .net is her website, and you can get to the blog from there. Or you can find links on Facebook. But she does a lot of giveaways for one-off skeins, one-of-a-kind things, or just things she wants to get rid of so she can make room for new things. And one of the giveaways she did was for a skein that was dyed the color called Dancing the Orange. And this is actually one of my favorite colors that she dyes. I have still 2 skeins of it in Sunna, her sock yarn. And I had knit a pair of socks with Dancing the Orange, which she actually had put in the post too, which was kind of cool. So she gave away a skein of Dance the Orange in her Verdande base, which is a superwash merino, cashmere, and bamboo and silk blend. It's about 220 yards, which means it's a worsted weight yarn. And here it is. This is not quite as vibrant as the Sunna that I have, but it's just gorgeous. It's my favorite shade of orange. So deep and rich and saturated, and almost brick-like orange. So I don't know what I'm going to make with this, but you can't even imagine how soft this is. So I got the notification that I won this, and she said, you know, send me your address, and I'm like, well, you know, this is a perfect excuse to just add a little bit to the shipment. So I went on her website and I bought 2 skeins of this color to make a nice big shawl with. This is her Sunna base, which is her fingering weight superwash merino, cashmere, and silk. So it's the same base as the other, but it's a fingering weight instead of worsted weight. The colorway is Waikiki. It's this beautiful. It's more like a teal than what you're seeing. You're seeing a very bright blue there, but it's really got a lot of teal tones to it, a lot more green in it than you're seeing. Well, when I take it back a little, well, I think it's probably because of my shirt, but it's a little more green and much more teal than you're seeing. You can kind of get an idea when you see this here without the light on it. But this is my stash acquisition. The one thing I don't need, more sock yarn, right? I have tons of this stuff in my stash. And I haven't knit with it in quite some time, but it's beautiful for a shawl. It's just so soft. Knits up beautifully. Has great stitch definition. Yada yada. I could go on and on. So, stash enhancement. I also took out to show you, because I've talked about it, but I haven't shown you yet. The Shirley pattern design along that I'm participating in. She's kind of extended the dates, and the schematics aren't due until April, I think it's 2nd or 3rd, that weekend of April, that first weekend of April. But I have been working on it. And honestly, one of the reasons I'm so tired today was I was up all night thinking about it last night. And I shouldn't be, but I am. Because there's like a design feature and I can't figure out in my head how I can make it work. And it's gotten me stressed out. And I know some people say that if you have an idea and you can't make it work, toss it and just move on. But I can't toss it because this is how I'm incorporating her stitch pattern. It's complicated. So I was stressing out about it, and I kept waking up and thinking about it, trying to figure out how I would do it so that it looked nice. Anyway, I thought I would just show you the colors I plan to use. So the design will be such that the pockets there's going to be front pockets, and they're going to have some color work done on them, some snowflakes. The main sweater color is going to be this, which is kind of like, it's like a very, very, it's like a icy blue, wintry blue, gray-ish color with some green even too. It's gorgeous. It's Turbine, which is from Harrisville Yarns, and it's birch bark color. It's a bulky weight yarn. This color you saw in my swatches called Canal. It's a very, very navy blue. Not as bright as you're seeing here, very navy. Not bright at all. Dark. And then here's the Barn Red. This is Barn Door is the name of the color. And it's just like the color of a barn. There are going to be accents of this in the sweater. I'm sorry. So sorry with the coughing. Can't help it. So these are the colors my sweater will be. I've shown the swatches before, but just in case you haven't seen those episodes, I'll show them to you real quick. This is going to be the main pattern of the sweater. It's just a double moss stitch, and you can see it here in the color Bark. It's thick and rugged, but yet it does have a bit of drape, which is something I need, because it's going to have a cowl neck. The cowl neck will be done in stockinette stitch, though, not the seed stitch, so it should be much more drapier. The pockets will have this here snowflake pattern on it. That's from Shirley Pattern. The background of the pockets will be the birch, which is this white. I just swatched it this way because I had to make do with the two skeins I had ordered for swatching. But this one was just this one here I was just playing around with, but this one is going to be the snowflake around the bottom of the sweater. And it will be done, the snowflake itself will be blues, and this blue with some of that barn door red. And the background will be white. There will also be some triangular details, which I'll show you. You won't see until I start knitting the sweater. So this is what the pockets fabric will be like. And I really didn't want to knit the sweater in the round, but because this is Fair Isle, I kind of have to. So anyway, I'm not going to go into all the details about my struggles with how to construct the sweater, because I think if I do write up the pattern, I would write it up with just plain pockets and not color work. Just saying. Also, I was like struggling a bit with how to deal with all the different gauges. So this is the this is going to be up the center. This is a color work panel, cable panel. And like I just ran out of the white. That's why the bottom half is blue. It's just because I ran out of the color. That's actually a good representation of the colors. So that's kind of an idea of what the sweater is going to be like. And like I said, I have the schematic kind of written up now. I have to do calculations based on my gauge swatches here, and then kind of write up the construction directions. And we get like a one-on-one with Shirley over a call where she goes over your schematics with you and helps you work through problems or questions you might have. And I'm just like super excited, beyond excited. This is like really amazing. So that is it with the stash. I did do a little spinning. I brought my spinning upstate to my parents' house. I haven't spun in a billion years. What did I do with my spinning thing? I don't know what I did with it. I didn't put it over here by my desk. I guess I'm not showing you my spinning. Did I put it over there? Dang, I'm losing my mind. Sorry about that. I'll show it to you next time. So I had a couple of things I want to talk about. If you don't want to, I don't have any more knitting to show, but I'm really excited. I have been showing the Fair Isle Cal I've been working on. Well, today I met my nieces, two of my nieces, down at the river. One of my niece, Patricia, she's the photographer, and my other niece, Catherine, did the modeling. And the pattern is with the tech editor. It's been with the tech editor for like 3 or 4 weeks now, and says she's just been very ill and unable to work on it, and so I don't know when she's going to get it back to me, but at least I have the photographs. This will be a free pattern. I've wanted for a while, I've been meaning to put a free pattern in my Ravelry store. I have, I think, 4 other patterns. Yeah, I have 4 patterns up there now, and they're all, paid for patterns. I just thought it'd be nice to have a free pattern, and it's a basic cowl, a tube that you would steek, and I just felt it was a great pattern if someone was new to Fair Isle and wanted to learn it and wanted to practice their steeks and whatnot. Would be a perfect pattern. So that's why I am putting it out there for free. And I don't know how long it's going to take. I have only one person who wants to test knit at this point. So if you're interested in doing a Fair Isle test knit, I can't commit to when I'll have the pattern ready because it all depends on the tech editor who, as of 4 or 5 days ago, was still too sick to work on it. Maybe I'll give it to someone else and save the sweater for her. I don't know. But if you're willing to begin, if you can commit to beginning right away as soon as the pattern's ready and you want to knit up a nice Fair Isle cowl, you can use the Jameson, or you could use palette. You could use whatever yarn, fingering weight yarn you want. But I would send you, at least immediately, I can send you the colors that I used that I know will go well together. And you can use them or you can pick your own. It's up to you. just send me a PM on Ravelry. I'm Memers on Ravelry, Mimers, if you would like to test it. And I'll throw some pictures from the photo shoot this morning at the end of the podcast. I am really excited. I'm getting a little antsy about the pattern and getting it out now that the actual piece is finished and the photography is done. I'm so thrilled with it. It came out great. It was like the perfect day to shoot too. The sun was a little cloudy, so there was no sun glare. It was perfect. Oh, you know what I wanted to tell you about? There are a couple of designers and yarn companies I love a lot. I love Spirit Trail Fiberworks yarn. I love Donna Dracunis because of her passion for knitting history and the culture surrounding knitting and the stories surrounding knitting. And I love her designs. But another designer / yarn dyer that I absolutely love is Lost City Knits, or Denise. She is an amazing lace designer. She really tends to go towards historical, traditional knitting styles, like Shetland knitting. And she has a lot of great patterns out there, and she has amazing yarns. My Guardian of Air shawl is written with one of her yarns, and it's just amazing. So I was thrilled when she put out a notification that she was going to be publishing a book of patterns that were photographed in Shetland. She did actually go to Shetland. It's called Ultima Thule. Thule is the name of the book. You can get a physical book, which would have a download code, or you can just download it from Ravelry now. You can pay for a digital copy. And I want to make the Hap shawl rather, but there's a couple of lace. There's a lace shawl. It's like a pie shawl. Oh man, I suppose I should finish the one I started and never finished last year, which was the Yarn Fairy and My Garden shawl. But I purchased the book as soon as I got the notice it was available. So hopefully I will have that soon. The other exciting news is I have officially signed up for a knitting retreat later this year with Donna Dracunis and Anne, what's Anne's last name? Anne Burke from the Anne Tarja Knits book. They will both be, I'm so sorry, they will both be in Vermont at the Trapp Family Lodge, which is a really beautiful, beautiful place judging from the pictures. It will be a Thursday to Sunday, and I'm going to be going with my friend Sandy, and I'm so excited. The retreat itself was very reasonably priced, but when we called to reserve our rooms, or actually Sandy called to reserve the room, and we were both a little taken aback when we heard the cost. It's pretty expensive for a room in Vermont, but it's in Stowe, Vermont, and it's going to be the last weekend of October. So it's going to be pretty beautiful up there with the leaves. And I'm totally thrilled. So I was just curious, like, if you could go to any knitting retreat, and I suppose a lot of people would say Rhinebeck. And I guess that I mean like more like a smaller scale knitting retreat, not like a yarn festival per se, but a knitting retreat. Does that make sense? Like where you go and you sit and you learn. Well, you do it Rhinebeck at the fiber festivals. Not necessarily, aside from the fiber festivals, what kind of, like SSK, knitting pipeline retreat, knitting in the mitten. I don't know if she does that anymore. what would you do if you could do any one of them? Even, I guess, in another country. I know if I really could have done anything, I would have done gone to Shetland with Mary Jane Mucklestone this year. That would have been like the end-all, be-all of knitting retreats, and who knows, maybe someday I'll be able to do that. I don't know. I know that my husband would never ever like go for that. I mean, going to Shetland without him for a knitting thing, he would just be like, yeah, no. So, but I'm curious. So I'm gonna post this thread. I'm gonna ask a question. If you could go any knitting retreat, which one would you go to and why? Just curious. It'd be fun to talk about. And who knows, maybe you'll hear of one that you didn't know of before, right? So, anyway, I guess that's it. I, hopefully, in a couple of weeks, I should have my, my tripod back, and I can go back to podcasting outside. I know it's the weekend that I'm due to podcast again. Is the first weekend in April. It might be difficult. So Saturday is another birthday party for my father. We had a little party up there with his friends where he lives upstate. My mom had a party for him up there, but on April, I think it's the 2nd, it's a Saturday, we're having another one down here where all his grandchildren and great-grandchildren will be there. It should be wonderful. And then the day after that is the dye day at my local spinning group. We have a yearly dye day, which I'll be going to. And then maybe, hopefully, after that, I'll have time to podcast and show you what I made a dye day. So I hope you all have a great time with your knitting. And I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.